I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money. This is how. Today, I'm talking about independent film aggregators. And before I get into it, I just want to say that I'm personally not a big fan of using aggregators that you pay up front for. And I have no personal experience with either BITMAX or QUIVER. My info here has been gathered from other filmmakers, so do with it what you will. Film distribution is complicated. It can get even more confusing when it comes to aggregators, but I'm here to give you the lowdown and discuss two of the biggest film aggregators that are out there right now, BITMAX and QUIVER Digital. What in the Sam Hill is an aggregator? Film aggregators provide a service to you and help get your movie, short film, or series distributed on platforms such as Apple TV, Tubi TV, Google Play, Amazon, and yes, even Netflix and Hulu, all without a distributor. Pretty cool, right? I have to admit that back in the day when I first learned about aggregators, I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, to be able to basically pay to be able to get to, Walmart or Netflix or, Amazon or wherever it was. Prior to that, as far as I knew, there was no real way for indie filmmakers to hit most of the major platforms on our own without a distributor. And some aggregators will even assist with the encoding process and creating assets such as subtitles or dubs, usually for a price. Most charge a fee up front, and others will take a percentage of your sales. So, what's the difference between an aggregator and a distributor? Well, the main difference between them is that a film distributor is usually way more involved. They license your film and will actively shop and sell it worldwide. It is much more of a partnership between the filmmaker and the distributor. The distributor will often assist in marketing the film and typically charge you nothing up front for their services. They take a back-end percent of your film's earning, and that split typically drifts between, say, 15 and 50%. Some distributors will pay you an upfront advance against potential sales, or will give you what is known as an MG, or a minimum guarantee, where they will contractually guarantee that your film will earn a certain amount. Though these days, both of those things are kind of rare in indie film. Distributors often have multiple personal relationships, not with only the major streaming platforms, but also with individual buyers worldwide. They will often give your movie more individual attention and will tailor the release of your movie to fit your film. An aggregator is just a place that you are paying to place your movies where you tell them. They take no part in helping you create any kind of market strategy. You basically just pay to play. So, in 2022, who are the best known aggregators? BITMAX is probably the best known working aggregator today. They have a pretty solid reputation. They license and distribute premium VOD, SVOD, AVOD, and TVOD content, and are responsible for the distribution of thousands of films, TV shows, and more music videos than any other provider on the planet, according to them. They do not share their rates publicly, but I've heard their basic package starts around $700, but you have to contact them to get specific rates for your film. From my research, BITMAX is probably the least complained about aggregator that I've seen. If you want to learn more, check out Alex Ferrari's Facebook group, Protect Yourself from Predatory Distributors / Aggregators. Just do a search for BITMAX there. It's mostly positive stuff, but let's see what a few filmmakers have to say. BITMAX worked great for me. They have high QC standards, and they presumably have them because they want to be sure their clients' films get accepted. Could some of those films get through with lower standards? Sure, but not all aggregators are willing to roll the dice, and as a filmmaker, I appreciate that, especially if I only get one shot at a platform. I actually agree with that. I think there need to be quality control standards across the board. I used BITMAX for my feature on 4 platforms. All good. I distributed my film theatrically to 8 theaters during the pandemic. That was cool. But all the takes on BITMAX are not so positive.
BITMAX ripped me off. I originally approached BITMAX to directly pitch to Tubi only, not Apple TV. They've mentioned several times how good an option that is. I didn't want it. Tubi was my only pitch for them. Sure, they said, $850 deposit. Long story short, after several 10 plus QC changes to the film and closed captioning, I still had QC issues, like closed captions cover the lower third of the graphic for too long. Meanwhile, I uploaded that same film to FilmHub, no deposit. Film is the original director's cut, the version before all the BITMAX QCs. FilmHub gets my film onto Tubi, no problem. I deliver the news to BITMAX that I need a refund. They tell me that their QC process is pickier than others and that I get a $350 refund. Mind blown. I accepted the refund just to get them out of my hair.
Okay. And look, I personally love FilmHub and would recommend them over BitMax, but the issue here sounds a lot more like a movie that just has some technical issues. I mean, yeah, man, your closed captioning shouldn't cover up your lower thirds. And I personally appreciate companies that clamp down on this kind of thing. As independent filmmakers, we need to maintain quality standards across the board. Next up is QUIVER Digital. With QUIVER, you pay a flat rate for distribution. You keep 100% of the revenue from the sale or rental of your film online. You can choose as many or as few distribution outlets as you like with no per territory fee. Our fee is $1,395 for the first retailer you choose and $225 for each additional retailer. Our standard pricing includes delivery to all the countries that accept English language films without translated subtitles or official ratings. You know, it looks like there's a lot less positive feedback out there on QUIVER. In fact, most of the filmmaker comments I found were lukewarm to hateful. I used QUIVER Digital, and it was the biggest mistake I'd ever made in my entire life. They are predators, and they do not care about you. Last year, 2019, in May, I researched different online aggregators and also contacted some of them. QUIVER Digital was one of them. They had a good deal, and they were very communicative. So I decided on them, which seemed great until I paid $2,500. I paid for my film to be on Amazon, Google, and iTunes. After I paid the fee and uploaded all the files in July, August, the initial date for my film to be on the platforms was around October. October came around, and they said, now it's sometime in November. I started emailing them at the end of November, but nothing happened. Between November 2019 and April 2020, I emailed them around 30 times, and I got 2 answers with a standard email saying my files are finalized. They are horrible. They do not care. And they made me blow my marketing budget for nothing. Furthermore, they made me get my film age rated by German authorities. This cost 500 euros, which they said had to be done for Amazon. Turns out, doesn't. They paid me back my money in April after a long and painful waste of my time, energy, and money. Now, I'm trying out the process with FilmHub, and it seems like a pretty good choice so far, especially considering the $0 upfront cost. So yeah, when it comes to aggregators, I'd recommend FilmHub as well. And they're actually not technically an aggregator, they refer to themselves as a marketplace. But they're essentially providing the same service as QUIVER and BITMAX, but they're not charging up front. Like a distributor, they take a back-end fee. FilmHub takes 20%. Filmmaker feedback on FilmHub is overwhelmingly positive. Most of the negative feedback that I have seen usually stems from a lack of understanding in regards to their payment schedule or QC standards. That said, I can still definitely see certain circumstances where it might be more advantageous to go with, say, BITMAX over FilmHub. Like, if you have pre-built an audience, or if you have a title that has exceptionally high production value and maybe some named talent, you might be better off paying that upfront fee and not having to split any back end later. But That's totally dependent on your project and its market potential. I personally have never up to this point paid anyone for any kind of upfront placement. When it comes to using an aggregator, just like a distributor, remember to do your own due diligence. Make sure you understand all the details of your deal and make the choice that best suits your film's individual needs. And track down other filmmakers who've actually worked with them in the past and ask for honest feedback. I mentioned it before, but join Alex Ferrari's Protect Yourself from Predatory Aggregators slash Distributors Facebook group and use the search tool there for any of the companies that you might be interested in. And also check out my group, Distribution and Marketing for Filmmakers, and do the same. But whatever you do, keep making movies.